Well, hello. Happy Tuesday. Yeah, welcome. Man, it feels like it's been so long since I've seen you guys. Well, I haven't seen you. You've seen me. And that was a long time ago because it was, what, Thursday? Boy, I've missed talking to you. I just wish I could talk with you, as always. But welcome to the Inga Barks Show here from the beautiful Bakersfield Music Hall of Fame. It's so hot. Mm-hmm. It's so hot that, and I take pride in my environment. I don't mean that as an environmentalist. I mean, I take pride in the way things look. When I pulled up today, there was a styrofoam cup that had been thrown into the street, into one of our parking spaces, and it was just spilled, out there. Looked like it had been run over. And then as I'm walking up the steps, there was a Solo cup, one of those red Solo cups, just sitting on the steps. And I thought, well, that's unbecoming of the Bakersfield Music Hall of Fame. And I thought, then my second thought was, but it's too hot for me to bend over. So I just kept walking. And but I hope you have no trash in your front yard. This is just miserable every single year. And I see why people get in the river. It looks inviting. But all that white stuff, like the heads, what do you call that? Like in a wave, you have all the white foamy stuff. That should be a telltale. You might not want to get in this water. We had a rescue yesterday that, kudos to Channel 23, they covered live as the man was getting rescued. And the one time that I stepped away to do something, I came back, he'd already been rescued. He was on the ground. But if you saw it, it was actually on national news. We made national news this morning over this story. It was a helicopter 407, I think is what it's called, that dipped down and collected him. And then instead of taking him up into the helicopter, they just deposited him on the Kern County. What do you call that? What is it by then? Kern Canyon Road? And he walks away. And all I could think of I thought of a couple of things. First of all, search and rescue people are amazing people, especially this time of year, because it's all volunteer. I used to train with them. I'd go out. I did a mountain rescue. I did a lot of river with them. I'm trying to think of what other things I did with them. But these guys are all volunteer. They train almost every weekend. They have whatever budget the sheriff's office can offer. And then they really do search and rescue till they've found and saved. And I just love those guys. I hold them in such high regard. And I know there's people who have mentioned before, and it will be mentioned probably in this case, why don't we charge people for the rescues? You climb up on a mountainside and you get stuck there. Why should the taxpayers have to pay for the fuel in the helicopter or the whatever you need to pull off a rescue? And the reason is because, and this has been shown to be true, and this is really tragic. You ready for this, Goose? Mm-hmm. The reason is because people won't call 911 if they know they're going to be fined $2,000. And then it becomes a recovery mission because they die. So that's, kind of the way it is. Now, I don't know, this guy, I don't know why he shouldn't be stuck with the fee of at least the fuel for the helicopter, that saved him. But anyway, I just can't figure out how he got out there. How did he get out there? The rock that he was on there was water on either side of it. There was no rock stepping stones to get to that rock. Well, I guess he and his wife were taking a lovely swim upriver, which doesn't really work when the river is running as fast as it is. One step forward, 5 feet back, right? So this guy somehow managed, though, to get himself on top of this large boulder, and that I got to give him credit for, because what do you do when you get swept down the river? I mean, the only time it's ever happened to me, I was, I did everything wrong. But if you put your legs out in front of you, which is what I was taught to do, put your legs out in front of you so you don't hit your head on a rock, that's good. But at the speed of that river, how can he not have 2 broken legs? Absolutely amazing. So anyway, congratulations to the search and rescue. You guys are awesome. There was another story. This one just broke today. This is so amazing, Goose. Did you hear about the woman, Angela Hernandez, I believe her name is? She's driving from Oregon on the 1. She swerves to miss a rabbit in her Jeep. Now, mind you, this was one of those like sissy Jeeps, the Patriot, or one of those that don't actually even, to me, they look like Ford Explorers. But so she dodges a rabbit and risks her own life. She ends up at the base of the at the beach, on the beach, in water. She breaks the window out of the driver's side. I gotta give her credit for this. She drank water from moist moss. And you know what else she did? She used her radiator thingy to collect water. I mean, and she was there on the coast of California for 1 week. She was there for a week. This is a pretty incredible story.
I did hear about this story. Matter of fact, they were talking about some of the injuries that she sustained. That one of the injuries was a brain hemorrhage.
Really? And she still managed?
And she still managed.
I mean, I know what I want to say to her, which is, you dodged a rabbit and went over a cliff. Just say that back to yourself a couple of times. I wouldn't dodge a rabbit if I'm driving on the side of a cliff. The rabbit's going to be on its own. So one time I was driving with the sweetest man ever. We were on Norris on our way out toward Alfred Harrell, or out to Hart Park. And we're there on Norris, and sure enough, from one side of the Chevron land to the other side of the Chevron land comes this bunny rabbit hopping. And it wasn't that he was going to miss it. He was going to miss the rabbit. But I reacted with a, and he slowed his car down, and it ended up under his tire. But we weren't on a cliff. So anyway, that was a pretty remarkable story. We have some national news. Obviously, everybody's talking about Putin and Trump yesterday, and President Trump's comments. To be honest with you, I'm as bored with the Russia thing as I was with the Obama isn't really an American citizen thing. I never believed that Obama was not an American citizen, and I never believed he was a Muslim. Did I believe that he didn't like America and that he had certain sympathies for Muslims? Yeah, but I never believed, not once, that he needed to present his birth certificate, which Donald Trump was the one who demanded it. So maybe he's getting a taste. I guess maybe he's getting a taste, but I'm so bored with this. Are you guys bored with this? Are you bored with this?
I've been bored with this.
Yeah, I have too, and it comes down to, for me, something I've said before on radio, and that is, you've got these 24-hour news cycles, and every hour you've got a new television show with a new host who has to try to find a new angle on the same story, right? So every hour it's, let's see what Newt Gingrich thinks about this. On my show, I believe Fox had a coup this week. Chris Wallace had the interview with Putin. Hannity had the interview with the president last night in Helsinki, or whenever it was. And Tucker Carlson has him tonight. And I don't know how much more he can say. I just don't. I don't know how much more the president can say. He had a slip of the tongue. He said something stupid. If you've ever spoken live on a microphone, you're prone to say stupid things. I even notice sometimes, often when people are speaking, orating, they'll say is instead of isn't, stuff like that, and they don't even realize it. You think they'd hear it come out of their mouth and they'd fix it, but they don't. They just keep going. I've heard that in sermons my whole life, so I'm so bored. But I will comment briefly on it. Look at the goose is like, no.
I'm about as excited about this as I am with, what's her name?
Leticia Perez?
No.
Oh, because that's interesting.
Stormy Weathers, or...
Oh, Stormy Daniels got arrested in a strip club, yeah.
Doing what?
Apparently there's a term for it. Involves something that floats on the water and drives.
Okay.
She attempted to. She fondled a police officer with her boobalus.
So she assaulted a police officer with her boobs.
With her boobs.
Okay. You can tell I'm excited. I'm
it's awful.
Yeah, this is what happens when there's like a slow news day nationally. It's like
July, August, horrible times for news. And and that's weird too, isn't it? Because the rest of the year they're constantly telling you that what they're talking about is the most important thing you're ever going to need to know. But then when they all go on vacation, it's like, how important is news? So anyway, we'll get to the president, but we do need to talk a little bit about Supervisor Leticia Perez. I watched the DA press conference. Goose watched the defense attorney H.A. Sala, watched his press conference, and we've been kind of combining notes here, but it appears that the district attorney's office has filed criminal charges. Now they're misdemeanors, but criminal charges against our supervisor, Leticia Perez. And it is because of conflict of interest. That's what they claim. Now, reporters kept asking her for, on what did they base their claim, their indictment, and she wouldn't go into it. But I know, I don't know what to say. I imagine that if Leticia Perez did make a mistake, on accident or on purpose, they are going to make her suffer because she's a high-profile person. Heck, when I wasn't even a high-profile person, the DA went after me once. So it's, some of the questions asked in the press conference were, let's see, it was conflict of interest on 2 votes, I believe, where she should have recused herself because she benefited financially, allegedly, from her husband's pro-pot activities or activism. They have no knowledge. They were asked, is this the first time a local politician has been indicted and criminally charged? And D.A. Green said, I think it is, but I don't think it is. I think that Carl Hettinger, I don't know if he had to step down or if he was indicted for something. It had to do with I don't remember what, taking money or something. And he was a supervisor and a cop. Onion Fields ring a bell? Remember that movie? Ted Danson?
Okay, yeah.
Carl Hettinger was one of the cops. He was the cop that lived.
Okay.
And went on to be a county supervisor. Her husband was, they were asked if this was on the part of the DA political persecution. Why? Why would the DA go after somebody who has a vote on how much her funding's going to be for the next fiscal year? Why would she do that? Political persecution, and also the claim against the DA from the crowd was, or from the press conference was, is it because she's the only Latino woman? Really? I mean, do you ask that question expecting to have the DA go, yeah, absolutely. I just can't stand Latino women. So it's really a stupid question. She is the only Latina on the Board of Supervisors. I think she's the only woman.
She's the only woman
on the Board of Supervisors. But, I've known Lisa Green a long time, and I don't think that plays into it. Somebody had asked why Bob Smith, City Council member Bob Smith, was not held to the same standard when he voted on something that he gained financially from. I'm no fan of Bob Smith, trust me. I am no fan of Bob Smith. And the DA's answer was pretty simple. It was because we weren't called on to investigate it. She's not mandated to step down, but she could serve 2 consecutive 4-year sentences, and she wouldn't be able to run for re-election again for 4 more years. So it's a pretty big deal. I mean, these might be misdemeanors, but it doesn't change the fact that this has a huge impact on herself, her family, her district, and you know what? I hope she's innocent. I do. I don't care that she's a Democrat. I don't care that she's Latina. I don't care that she and I don't see eye to eye on the marijuana thing all the way. But if she didn't do it, she shouldn't be found guilty. And if she steps down, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to be on trial? Are you going to be able to vote on budgets for the sheriff's department, for the DA's office? If you're being tried, but tomorrow is her arraignment. She doesn't have to be there because it's a misdemeanor. So her attorney, H.A. Sala, will be representing her, no doubt, and the cameras will be everywhere. And what did H.A. Sala say in his presser?
He basically believes that a lot of these charges are baseless, that there really isn't any proof to the allegations. Brought up, it has also been brought up possibly that there is a political motivation to this. No one mentioned
Race.
Mike Maggart.
Oh, yeah, they did in this one. They did in the DA's.
Yeah, they didn't mention Mike Maggart in this press conference, but it was alluded to.
Lisa Green mentioned it in her press conference. She said, we did investigate, and we found no wrongdoing. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I think that the DA is playing favorites with people's lives. This is high, even though they're misdemeanors, this is high risk. This is a high risk business here, and she could set her replacement up with some really bad juju if she's just making up reasons to indict. I believe an indictment has to have some evidence in order for someone to be indicted. So, I don't know. Again, I hope that she's not guilty because we don't need any violations of trust in this community, and because, I hope everybody's innocent. I always hope people are innocent, especially if they have a high-profile name, because these are things that follow you. It's so weird. I mean, she used to work for the public defender's office. She was a public defender. She's a lawyer. So she knows everything that's going on. They were dealing with HA. They were working. They asked if Leticia Perez Supervisor Perez had been arrested, and she said they were working with her attorney on that. So I don't know if you're indicted if somebody comes and gets you every time and shackles you and sticks you in a cell. I have no idea about that. But anyway, what else did H.A. Sala?
As I'm trying to remember, I should have just gone over the press conference and watched it before I came in.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I should ask you on the fly.
But you would think I would remember. No, there had been some things because they were wondering. Because let me see if I can explain this in a way. Because one of the things that was brought up was that basically her husband was the one that was the political consultant. Mm-hmm. For the cannabis businesses, yeah.
Businesses,
and that she had apparently made votes supporting his cause, and a lot was made of the fact that she didn't know that what was going on. She didn't know that there was a conflict of interest. That she didn't know that it was. I might be like totally getting this wrong. I'm trying to shoot it off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's fair.
But there was an allegation or a question that she didn't know that what he was doing coincided with what she was doing.
Well, you should know that. What do they talk about around the dinner table? Mm-hmm. How was your day at work? Nothing. I didn't do anything. Nothing.
I do know we're hoping to get the press conference with H.J. Sala up on H.A. Sala. HASL up on our website pretty quickly.
Oh, good.
And so people can see it for themselves.
Yeah.
And
the Lisa Green press conferences, I just Googled Kern County, and it came up. So you can see both of those. A judge also today denied one of these. There's different organizations. I think there's 3 involved in this. Not medicinal, well, maybe medicinal, but marijuana stuff happening in Kern County. And one of the many groups had challenged the wording in one of the ballot initiatives. And a judge threw that out today, denied them their language. And I actually sympathize with this because, I don't know if you guys remember, Prop 8, I remember well, the Protection of Marriage Act. And our Attorney General at that time was Jerry Brown. And the language, which was very simple, marriage is between a man and a woman, was turned into voting yes on this will deny basic human rights to to people who love each other. I mean, it was something, and it still passed overwhelmingly, still passed. But there are, the people at the top, the attorneys general or whoever does it here in elections in Kern County, they're the ones who decide what the language is going to be, and it might undermine your cause if they politically disagree with it. So I actually sympathize with these guys on if it's that somebody just doesn't want their ballot measure, and so they said, nah, we're going to use our own language. But that happened today too. So that's all the pot news I have for the day, as far as I know. I wish Supervisor Perez well, as I do all of the board members. Some of them are up for re-election. Again, Mike Maggard has not been indicted on any conflicts of interest. Their investigation found none. And so the next move is yours. Why am I stuttering today? Finding myself stuttering. Oh, I know, because I haven't actually talked to anybody in a couple of days.
Yeah, we got some interesting comments.
Yeah.
About some of this. John says Leticia is a La Raza clone.
I got nothing. I know that she plays that game. I know she rides that bus.
Will says working in this seat is awful. Makes me miss WNY, which must be West New York, I guess.
WNY.
More and more.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, no, it can't be New York. Because right now, this time of year, the humidity there is so bad. It's awful. Was he talking about the temperature? Or was he
WNY, no, makes me miss WNY more and more. But it's got to be a town or
maybe so. Yeah, I'm sure he's right. But if it's in New York, it is a miserable place to be in July and August. Ugh.
Joe says honking your vehicle's horn usually scares the rabbit in the opposite direction.
Yeah, well, he didn't honk. Yeah, okay, yeah. It just didn't work that way. It was a bunny. It was a bunny.
Can I tell you, my son and I were coming home late one night, and we turned this corner, and this white Chihuahua walked in front of our car, and I honked the horn at it, and it started barking at me. I'm like, well, okay.
Little man syndrome.
This isn't going to work.
Little man syndrome.
So I was about to get out, but the neighbor finally came out and got the dog. I was like, horns don't work.
Where I was last weekend for an afternoon, there were lizards and little bunny rabbits, and one of them even found shade under my Jeep. So I was getting ready to leave, and I decided I'd stay until it was done using the shade of the Jeep. But the hardest animals up there to deal with were the guinea hens. I'm not sure what you use guinea hens for. Eggs, hunt, I know not. But they believe that road is actually theirs. And they just looked at me.
The last comment, and this must be something that you and Renee know, because all she says is Hassenpfeffer.
What did she say?
Hassenpfeffer.
Hassenpfeffer.
Yeah, Hassenpfeffer.
That was from Renee?
That was from Renee.
I don't know what that is.
I thought this was an inside joke that you might know. But
no, that makes me want to sing the Laverne and Shirley theme song, but I think that's Hassenpfeffer.
Hassen, yeah.
I know not. I know not. I love this. Right before I left the house today, there was I was watching Fox. Somebody accused me the other day of watching too much state news, and I was like, "What's state news?" And they're like, "It's Fox. Fox is state news. You know, everything's fed to them by the president. Yada yada." Okay, I really don't care. I actually don't watch news. I read news. I hate watching news, except maybe at 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning. Just to catch up. But I don't like TV news. I'd much rather be watching yet another rerun of Law and Order SVU. And so, or listening to a show on my computer. But anyway, I was watching it this afternoon, and they showed this speech not the whole speech, who could possibly tolerate the whole speech, of Barack Obama gave in the last couple of days in South Africa. It's the 100th birthday of Nelson Mandela, were he alive. And he was all over Trump. He's all over Trump. I don't know that he ever said Trump's name, but he alluded to, how scary things are and the attitude of the West and blah. And I'm thinking, you're in South Africa. And you're concerned about the United States. I mean, human rights violations are like a day in the life in South Africa. Are you kidding me? But anyway, my favorite line was when he said that we have too many, the rise of strongman politicians is increasing. Strongman politics is on the rise, is what he said. And you know what he's talking about? He's talking about Trump, and his little rocket man stuff, right? And immediately what came to mind was, you're the guy who sent James Taylor to Paris after a terrorist attack to sing "You've Got a Friend." You didn't even show up. Leaders of nations of the world, including Arab leaders, walking side by side with Benjamin Netanyahu, walked down the streets of Paris for free speech, which was also ironic. But and you didn't go. You didn't go. Yeah, we were much better off when we had a president who sent. I love James Taylor, don't get me wrong, but seriously, I'll take a guy with a little bit of meat on his bones, a little bit of muscle. I'll take it. I can live with that for now. So anyway, just thought I'd mention that. All right, let's take a break and come back, and we'll yell about more things. How about that? We'll be right back.
At the time you were arrested, you were served with a DS-367 temporary driver's license. It's good for 30 days, but if you don't act within 10 days, at the end of those 30 days, your license will be suspended. It's important for your lawyer to contact the DMV for you. Set up a driver's license administrative hearing so that your license does not go into suspension. That's something here at Braemar Law we do for you.
Introducing the new California State Penitentiary Bologna Sandwich. Jail food sucks. Don't let your family eat jail food.
Your home is perfect. Until it's not. We understand that life has its changes. As your family grows, we're here to help grow with you. Because taking care of your family is important to you and important to us. Your story starts here with Cornerstone Mortgage.
must remember that.
You know, I have to tell you, I think everybody gets a pass right now. Nobody should lose a job or get reprimanded for any mistakes they make when it's this hot. Because I don't know about you, but I'm practically lethargic. I mean, I'm going to go to my parents' house when I get done here, and I'm going to stare at the pool because I don't want to walk out the door to get in it. And I don't want to get out of it. That's how bad it is. So I'm all for. On the issue again of Leticia Perez, I'm sure that the onion's going to be peeled back a lot more in the next couple of days or weeks. So we'll see what happens. I mean, maybe she'll accept a plea bargain or something if she. This is one of the things I don't like about prosecutions, and it is that if you didn't do it, they'll still offer you a deal, and you're like, but I didn't do it. Well, we're going to offer you something very generous, 1 year instead of 8, and you can keep your pension, something like that. I don't want to go to jail for a year. I didn't do it. And then you go to trial, which ticks them off even more, and then they prosecute you more harshly and give you the maximum they can give you. That's how it works. And I love prosecution. I love when they get it right. I highly respect Lisa Green in the DA's office, but I've seen it. I've seen it one too many times, where people they just couldn't let it go, and that's very, very sad for justice. All right, let's see. What are people saying? I know that. Oh, I love it. I love it. Pete Tittle, is that this Pete Tittle that writes for the paper or used to write for the paper? The food critic? I don't know, but he's always writing crazy things on my page. And I had written about the Obama speech in South Africa. And he said, fascism is evident in the U.S., Turkey, and other other countries today. So he's a lib, and he believes that that this president is a fascist. I can't figure out what name these guys want to use. They throw out all kinds of words, but Pete, I would have to say that I agree with you. Fascism is evident in the United States by groups that cover their faces when they throw rocks in businesses and beat people up and try to shut down free speech, and university students who try to shut down free speech and beat people. I agree with you. Fascism is definitely on the rise. Gee whiz. I have a friend, Ben Berquam, and he was at Berkeley at one of those one of the pro-Trump rallies. Was it a woman or a man, bashed him over the head with a metal pole. I mean, the pictures that were taken of him, just blood, because your head bleeds big time, blood, just, and he was just there with a sign. So anyway, yes, Pete Tittle. Fascism is definitely getting scarier.
I always thought that fascism was, let me see if I explain this correctly, when a group of people would not allow you to say or do something based on a political belief because they found it offensive.
You're asking me?
That's what.
No, that's what these guys. No. That's what these guys are. These guys are saying they're fighting it because they're not fascists, even though they're trying to shut down free speech. Yes. Yeah. Makes perfect sense. It's the same as the liberals always calling the far right or the alt-right, whatever that is, and associating it with Nazis. What on earth do conservatives have in common with Nazis?
You know what Jazz said about that? Because he said the same thing.
Yeah, well, Hitler was a socialist.
He
who hated communists.
He said the Nazis stand for Nationalist Socialist.
Yes.
Socialist Party.
Yes. So how do they do that? How do they get the language to change like that overnight to where we're embracing their language as if it's fact when they're absolutely lying? I mean, the last 24 hours of Republican congressmen and Democrat congressmen and this Democrat and that Republican sending out messages and talking about how ridiculous the president and stupid the president was in his comments about our intelligence. All of this stuff. It's such a waste of time. Mr. President, did you get a chance to talk to Putin about, I don't know, Ukraine? Or maybe what's happening in, here are all these members of the media telling you the most important news story in the last 24 hours is the president said that he believed Putin when Putin said we weren't spying. And he knows that's not true, that they weren't spying. He knows that's not true. The president knows that's not true. But he also knows that it's not true that they swayed an election. But the media could be asking, Mr. President, did you talk about Syria and Russia's involvement in Syria? Or how about Iran? Or North Korea? I mean, did you, wouldn't you rather know if the president, just like Reagan with Gorby, they sat there, they disagreed, the meeting ended, they tried again, I think the next day, we won and put them out of business. I can't believe that people consider themselves responsible journalists when this is the story. I heard one Republican commentator say today, he was the head of the Ohio Republican Party, and I think he stepped down or something. And he said, I was waiting for my president to lead, and he let me down. I'm like, because of the stupid Russia thing that we all already know? I don't think there's anybody who disagrees that Russia hasn't tried to interfere in elections, and that Obama tried to interfere in Benjamin Netanyahu's last election. Obama himself. I mean, all of this stuff to me is, can I say this word on the radio? We're not on radio.
We're not on radio. We're on the internet, so you can say whatever you want.
Verbal masturbation. You're too lazy to find a news story. You're too lazy to ask the questions that matter to Americans. And so you're all going to have your big moment in the sun, making a big deal for the next 24 hours maybe about what Trump said at a press conference, which, by the way, he apologized for. So what more do you want? How many pounds of flesh over this? Stop being lazy. Get off your buns. Find out what they talked about Syria. Find out what they talked about in terms of North Korea, if we are supposed to know. And I don't know that we're supposed to know, but I just think it just is so absolutely frustrating to me. I can't help but lay it on lazy people, especially lazy people who just want to go after this president. I waited for 8 years for someone to lead. He never showed up. I waited for Bush for 8 years to lead. He started strong. So, anyway. All right. What?
You say, tell us how you really feel.
Well, I'm just bored with it, and I have all these thoughts in my mind, and I think, I got to say that, and then I forget what it is. It leaves. So I could say more things on this, but I just think that we are being done a great disservice, especially by the politicians. What was it 2 weeks ago? It was the biggest news stories were females from the White House in restaurants, right? Maxine Waters. What happened with that? We have hissy fits every couple of weeks, and we forget what the other hissy fit was about. It's like constant, purposeful whining and complaining and fussing and saying they're doing it in the name of America. It just drives me nuts. Okay, back to me. Bakersfield, California. What? The Bakersfield Californian. I'm trying to figure out. It's a microphone. The Bakersfield Californian is moving from its beautiful downtown building. What an absolute shame. I imagine the AC is a real pain in the neck in that building. I imagine there's a lot of, with all that wood floor, they probably have a lot of leaks and creaks and all that kind of stuff. But have you ever been inside the papers building downtown?
Oh, downtown?
Mm-hmm.
No,
On
never
I
been the
Street.
one downtown.
It is so beautiful. I mean, it's a piece of history. It was built in the turn of the century, the last century, and the last turn of in the early 1900s. And it says Bakersfield, California, and is engraved in the stone, and it's just a cool place. And being downtown, I'm sure it's offered even the laziest reporter opportunity. They walk next door, they can go to the Chamber of Commerce. Walk around a corner, they could be at a courthouse. They're moving to their Pegasus location, which I've also toured. Why did I tour that?
I actually worked there briefly.
You did on Pegasus?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's when I was a lot younger and a lot less lazy.
Well, according to the article, they're condensing. Very nice. According to the news story, they're throwing all their liabilities in one building, and I think it's sad that they picked Pegasus. But I will tell you, it reminds me of something. For a couple of years, when I was working out on the Pegasus location for radio, we had this concrete table, and the concrete benches around it. I don't know if it's still there. I don't care. But every day when I'd show up, there'd be these pieces of plastic all around the table, and then there would be stacks of Bakersfield Californians blowing in the wind. I mean, stacks. And I mentioned it a couple of times on the air, and then I mentioned it a couple of more times, and then I mentioned it on Facebook. I don't remember exactly how it all came to an end, but apparently there are workers who bind or unbind the newspapers were choosing our table across the street to do their business, and then they just, if they had excess papers, they just left them, and then the wind would come. So I don't know how I feel about the whole kit and caboodle being out there. Oh, I don't work out there anymore. Never mind. Carry on. I'm sure it'll be good news for Champ's Barbecue. So anyway, I'm sorry that they're moving that from that beautiful building, and I wonder what it's going to become. I mean, it's not like you can change it. It says the Bakersfield Californian in stone. It's not like you'd want to change it. So I don't know what they're going to do, but that's pretty sad. To me, it's pretty sad. The supporters of... I love this. I love this. We've got a ballot measure coming in November to overturn the gas tax. Then the city wants a ballot measure to increase sales tax. I believe the county also is considering or wants a ballot measure in which taxes would be increased. And along comes the Kern County Library, and they want a ballot measure to increase taxes to keep the library alive. Now, a couple things I have to say about this. Love libraries. The Beale is great. It's a great place for free air conditioning. It's a great place to get bed bug bites. That was a couple of years ago. They fixed that problem. I used the library a lot when I was in college, because out at Cal State, we didn't have the big, giant, beautiful facility when I was out at Cal State. Well, we did near the end of my time there. But when I started out, it was in, where the admin building is?
Yes.
Right across from DDH.
Okay.
That was the library.
Really?
Yeah. And we went through cards. Did you have to do that?
No. No, they have everything automated on computer now.
No. Yeah, I think in the final years of my statistics courses, we would go down into the lab, the computer lab, and people my age would go, "What is this? This thing is." And I remember I was taking an astronomy class, and this gal was from Japan that I took a class with. We were partners, and I remember distinctly walking from the science building past DDH with her as she's saying to me, "It's called email. It's brand new, and I was like, and you can type something and it goes somewhere else?" She was like, "I'm not kidding." I went to college for a very long time. Anyway, I like libraries. I think they're terrific. I also think that they should be self-sustaining. We subsidize them enough. And like with other things, the Get Bus, that I read that article a couple weeks ago about the gal who wants more people to use the Get Bus, or an increase in funding for it. Good grief, don't they make any money off of those giant signs on the sides of the buses? Telling you how you can get your Social Security even if you don't deserve it? Gee whiz. But the thing is here's the truth of it. Whether it's the city asking, the state asking on a bond measure, the county asking, the libraries asking, I don't have it. I would love all the roads to be perfect, but I literally do not have it. I would love the libraries to all be sustainable, but I got nothing left. I'm the proverbial turnip that can't be bled. I'm this close to having to let my lawn people go. And I'm not going to sacrifice that for a library. All right. Besides that, you had the opportunity, county had the opportunity about a year ago to put a ballot measure on the ballot that would have allowed citizens to vote on privatizing the libraries. There was a group that has done many privatization projects of libraries. They've been very successful. They came to Bakersfield. They went to the Kern County supervisors. They made their case, and they were shot down by the, whatever union represents librarians. So no, I don't have any more money for you. All right, what are we doing? Did you say this?
Yes, I did.
You see my bracelet? It's all.
Yes, I did. I think it's very pretty.
It's all little glass, guys. I think I have some earrings to match, but I don't know where they are. All right, we will take a break and what? Huh? What?
Yep.
Okay, we'll take a break and we'll be right back. I'm Inga Barks. This is the Inga Barks Show, and I'm on Facebook right now. I'd like to be on there where I can see your postings, but it would also require me to see my face, and that's not going to work for me. It's just not going to work. All right, we'll be right back.
Patriot Bail Bonds has the best customer service in Bakersfield. Patriot has more 5-star ratings than any bail company in Kern County. Plus, we're fast and affordable. If you run into the law, make Patriot Bail Bonds your first call. That's right, one call, that's all.
If you're in jail, call Patriot Bail.
I choose Patriot Bail Bonds.
We choose Patriot Bail Bonds.
We choose Patriot Bail Bonds.
If the best criminal attorneys choose Patriot Bail Bonds, who would you choose?
Patriot Bail Bonds. We fight for your freedom.
At the time you were arrested, you were served with a DS-367 temporary driver's license. It's good for 30 days, but if you don't act within 10 days, at the end of those 30 days, your license will be suspended. It's important for your lawyer to contact the DMV for you. Set up a driver's license administrative hearing so that your license is not going to suspension. That's something here at Bramer Law we do for you.
And another thing. This is one of the things that came in this way and went out that way before I could remember to say it. Regarding a strong politician, strongman politics, which is what President Obama is saying that Trump is guilty of. Have you seen any outbreaks of violence from Black Lives Matter since Trump has been president? Maybe a march here or something there. President Obama practically gave free rein. He was such a weak man that he blamed the police. He blamed the police at their own funerals. He accused you of being racist at those police officers in Dallas at their funerals. And of course he blamed gun violence, which is really, really great. And so I have a real hard time with this man having any authority at all. Do you think if Donald Trump were president, do you think that the district attorney, was it the DA or was it the mayor? It was the mayor there in Baltimore who said, let them just have their rage.
Yeah.
Let them break people's windows and set other people's things on fire and hit folks over the head. They just need to get it out of their system. Would that have happened if Donald Trump were president? No. And that's not a racial thing. It just is what it is. You can't. Was it the mayor?
It was the mayor.
Is she still mayor? I mean, what a horrid, wretched woman. She represents a community. She asks them for the vote, and then she lets the businesses in her community be burned down or blown up or bashed in, right? That would never have happened if Trump were president. So I had to add that because that really got up. I've never seen anything like it. And you know what? The media didn't do anything to stop it. Oh, Trump said the FBI people, he doesn't take their word as much. He believes Putin. Oh, it's the most horrible thing in the world. And yet, did any of them ever say, oh my goodness, this president's doing nothing. The leadership's doing nothing about folks raiding houses and setting things on fire. And the mayor saying, that's the outrage. That was the outrage. This, blah, 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 Putin. And there are people making it into this huge deal about how the rest of the world's stage, we look weak and we look like fools. Are you kidding me? Right now, and still be stronger than we have been in the last in the previous administration. I'm over it. I'm over it. Getting over it. It just annoys me to no end how media tells you what the big deal is. Oh, we're going to cover this. We're going to cover these riots all day. We're going to march with them. We're going to let these folks have their say. We're going to videotape them setting businesses on fire. And we're never at any point going to say, should this be going on? But the President Trump, she honkers. And by the way, no, I'm kidding. He wasn't making fun of a disabled reporter. Remember that in 2016?
Oh, I remember that.
These are the things that people turn into fact. He was making fun of he didn't know that the reporter was disabled. He made it was a faux pas, certainly, because he made fun of him, but he wasn't making fun of his handicap. He thought the guy got all squirrely and nervous and was an idiot. That's what he thought. It was a faux pas, granted, but remember, what did President Barack Obama say to Jay Leno about his bowling skills? Do you remember?
Something to the effect that they weren't that good?
No, he outright said, I bowl like a retard.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Kern County has a really great program, Bark. And one of the things that the adults in that program get to do is go bowling. They're actually in competitions. And there are people with Down syndrome and mostly Down syndrome, but all kinds of disabilities. And did anybody make a big deal out of that? No. In fact, they practically covered for the guy. He did apologize because that really was a stupid thing to say. But yeah. So anyway, all right. That's it. I'm over it. I promise. Back to the Kern County Libraries. I mentioned that they want a tax measure, and so that brings us to 3 or 4 different opportunities for us to make our lives more expensive. And I just don't see how it's going to happen on the same ballot measure that overturns the gas tax, right? because we will be overturning the gas tax in the state of California. There's also going to be a ballot measure about giving chickens more space. Well,
run, chicken, run.
Yeah, in California we do important things like ban straws. Don't you love it? You go to Morro Bay and you walk into a restaurant. You walk into a grocery store and they don't even have bags. I don't know if they charge you for them or if they don't even have them. But you walk out with your arms full of your groceries or in your shopping cart, right? And the reason, those bags, they go into the ocean and or onto the ground, and then animals eat them because animals are smart that way, and then they die. Choking hazard, right? Okay, all right, fair enough. So then you're in Morro Bay and you go down to the waterfront, to a lovely restaurant. I just slept in their t-shirt last night. What was that restaurant called? And you order a lot of food that you can't finish. Do you know what they will bring you right there on the docks, or by the docks where you're looking at the pelicans? You know what they'll give you? Styrofoam containers to hold your leftovers in a plastic bag. I don't know what is going to happen with these straws, but I do know this. We, a couple years back, in Bakersfield, put out the offer. Bakersfieldians, if you would like to have a blue trash, recyclable, it'll cost you about $60, and you'll be a fantastic hero. And then after a couple years, it just became that you got one, right? You've got one, don't you? You just have the blue container, and that's for recycling purposes. So this news story comes out the other day. I don't remember the source of it. I can't remember, but it says that unfortunately, Bakersfield went from making money off of its trash to giving its trash away. Well, because people buy it to recycle it and make it into things. Primarily, the Chinese take our trash. And it went from $25 a ton to $0 a ton. And I'm going to tell you right now, if we're already in the state of California paying other states to take the electricity we generate with solar and wind because we're generating too much electricity, so we're actually paying them to take it, what's going to happen with trash? Everybody's got one, a trash can. What are they going to have to do? I don't know. I don't remember these problems when I was a kid and you just went out to the dump and crows flew around and pecked at it. And, where my late husband lived in New Mexico, they'd go to the dump and there would be like people actually going through the trash for remnants. Okay, all right, whatever floats your boat. Whatever floats your boat. Somehow this is going to cost you money. I can tell you that much. We're going to be so good. We're going to do something great for planet Earth based on nothing. And we're going to charge you for it. And then we're going to make some money off of it. And then when we can't make money off of it, we'll probably force you to pay for it. Right? Libraries. We're going to build and build and build libraries and libraries with taxpayer dollars. And then nobody's going to use them. And so we're going to have you raise your taxes so that you will pay for us not to have people come into our library. Because we're that important. Everything they take over, they ruin. They really do. They do cops well. Sometimes they do roads well. Pretty much everything else, I think they're terrible at. I just do. Because they make you a promise. Oh, just pay a little bit more. It's going to be remarkable. And then when nobody wants to ride the Get Bus, they might increase the fees for riding the Get Bus. And then the people who ride the Get Bus say, wait a minute, why should we be shouldering the burden of paying more? Shouldn't this be spread out over everybody? Yes, you're right. Let's do it. Let's raise taxes. No. So good luck with the trash thing. I try to use very little trash. Didn't we used to burn trash? Didn't The Simpsons just have a tire fire all the time?
You know, from where I'm from, we never burned our trash.
Yeah.
Soon the fire department would show up.
Yeah.
But from what I remember, my brother-in-law was telling me when he lived over at Fairfax, that's what they did all the time with the trash, because they had a big property, and they just go out in the middle of the property and just set the trash on fire, and that was the end of it.
I know my mother, when she was a small child, well, a young kid, they had what did they call them, incinerators in their backyard. She and her sister would just go out there, and I think she told me that she tortured her sister by throwing ashes at her. And that was when I went, what, you burn trash? I mean, we couldn't do that today with the number of people living everywhere. That would be kind of difficult to pull off. But surely there's something we can do. Okay, China doesn't want our recyclables. Put them at the dump. Put another layer on.
I mean, it reminded me of something when we first moved here, because I remember when we first moved here, the big to-do was the sludge. The sludge that was...
You mean the quality? It's the people who had a political motive called it sludge, but it's actually called exceptional quality, EQ, in that everything's been burned out, all the syringes are gone, and people would pour it on their farmland and be paid to do it.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, LA was paying people in Kern County on their own property to accept the sludge. And everybody just went nuts over it, just nuts. I think I was probably the only person in Kern County who voted to keep it coming. Because eventually it goes to compost. And compost is so clean. I've watched people, I actually have watched people who sell compost take a spoon of it. It's the stuff you put around your rose bushes, if it's exceptional quality. But yeah, I mean, that was what was big when you were coming in.
Yeah, that was the big news, because it was like we first moved here and they started talking about the LA sludge. And like, at first I thought it was like, are we being invaded by the blob? What in the world is that? So I didn't know it. And then they said, oh no, this is the stuff that the farmers put on their land to help with the fertilizer. And I'm like, oh, okay.
I didn't care. Oh, you missed the cows. You missed the Borba dairy battle. I was just thinking about that one the other day, because these people we were going to put 25,000 cows, in southwest, practically like out by Lakeside or schools, or out that way, and people flipped on these dairy cows. And
they didn't flip the dairy cows.
No, yeah, that's a good point. They flipped, but I remember the arguments were things like, they're going to draw flies. So the guys from Borba brought down an entomologist from somewhere in San Francisco to say flies travel a quarter mile their entire lives. They're never going to reach your house from the dairy. And so then they said, what if the dam breaks and all that water floods the area, and then the cows are dying and their carcasses are toxic, and it kills us all. And then they added a new one. What if the dam breaks and takes the cows away, but also rises caskets up out of the cemetery ground? I'm not kidding you. Okay. Environmentalists are hysterical people.
That sounds like a great plot for a movie.
It does. It does. Well, the caskets would have been hit by water before they would have hit the cows. It would have been quite an interesting. I sat in a meeting where people were saying stuff like that, and I remember just shaking my head. I knew nothing. I know nothing, but I wanted the cows. It would bring money. It would bring revenue to the county. It would have created jobs. Nope. Yeah, you missed that phase. That was a good one. There was also the time, it was something about water quality, and a whole bunch of people showed up at the supervisor's meeting with toilet seats around their necks.
That I would have liked to take pictures of.
Yeah, it was nice. It was really nice. How do these people find the time? Good grief. All right, what else is on my thingamajig list? Nutrias. nutrias. They were brought here. They're raccoon. I mean, they're. Who builds dams?
Beavers.
They're beaver-looking like, only they're rats. They're big. Have you ever seen one?
Yes, I haven't seen one personally, but I have seen them on TV. They're humongous. They look like
ROUSs.
Yeah, they're rats of normal size.
And I think we've talked about them before because I thought I saw a beaver in the Kern River once, but now in hindsight, I don't remember him having the beaver tail, which you see in cartoons, right? That has all the diamonds on it. So I'm not sure. It might have been a nutria, which is it's an unfortunate name because I immediately think of a creamy chocolate spread that one might put on their toast. But anyway, it's getting worse. It's getting worse in California. They have started invading watersheds and farms, and we haven't figured out what to do with them yet. We used to use them for pelts, but then they turned into monsters. So that's going to be an interesting thing to see us work out as well. So just wanted to get that one off my chest. That's it for my notes. We could just laugh for the rest of the time that we're sitting here.
A couple of tra-la-las. That's how we spend the day away. The merry wind of Oz.
Thank you. Now that will be stuck in my brain for the rest of the day. Except it will lead me to the Yellow Brick Road song, which will lead me to Elton John, and then it never ends. It never ends. That happens to me all the time.
Yeah. And half the people listening to you right now are going, "Damn it, Goose!"
And what's really bad is I keep this puppy next to me on my bed. I've got a really wide bed, but it's two beds. It's pushed together with the buttons that go up and down and all that good stuff. And so I put my computer on that other bed next to me, and I'll have a song or a movie come to mind while I'm sleeping. It'll show up in a dream. Next thing I do, I'm having to look up the lyrics. You really shouldn't have electronic devices near your bed, because now it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm going, was it Nutella or Nutria? So it's not good. Not good at all. Sometimes I justify it by saying, hey, it's 3 o'clock here, but it's 6 o'clock in New York. Let's see what my buddy Cornetta's doing. So anyway. All right, Cornetta is a retired police officer who I met. Sean Hannity actually introduced me to him. Joe used to pick Hannity up at outside of the studios and then walk him to his car. Now Sean's does karate and all that stuff, and he has a gun, but back then it was just Cornetta. And I remember one time a guy walked up to Sean outside of the studios. We're walking down the side, Avenue of the Americas or whatever, and we're walking, and this guy walks up with a pen and hands it to Hannity with a piece of paper and says, "Can I get your autograph?" Hannity hands the pen to Joe. He gets his own pen, he signs it. The autograph, and while he's signing the autograph, Joe is dismantling the pen. Just like one would, like Forrest Gump on his gun, in boot camp. Dismantling it, okay, looks safe, puts it back, hands it to the guy. And anyway, Cornetta's just a great guy, and if you befriend him on Facebook, you won't regret it. He and his wife Nancy both are wonderful, wonderful people. And oh gosh, I can't tell that story. He was pretty mad after 9/11. I can't tell that story. I was trying to think of one I can.
I got a final comment from you from Pamela.
Oh yeah?
Pamela says, "Hi Inga, it happened. My liberal aunt in Canada is done with me because of my support for Trump."
Good gravy. You're not supporting Trump, Pamela. You're supporting the President of the United States. You're supporting, you're supporting the United States of America and the people who live in it. I mean, I did not like Obama, and I don't care if I ever see his face or hear his voice again, but I did not hate the man. And I'm sorry about your aunt. That's terrible. I also had family members who blocked me after the Connecticut shooting, the kindergarten shooting. Sandy Hook. Oh, so terrible.
Yeah.
My uncle got on his Facebook page and he gave out the phone number for the NRA and said to people, you know, call the folks whose fault this is, and well, it shows up on my page where all of my friends are that think like me, and they didn't know he was my uncle, and he hasn't spoken to me since. So there you go. But I'm sorry, Pamela. That's really a shame. Cornetta. I was interviewing him one time, and I asked him how he stops a crowd when they're, you know, rioting or they're protesting, and this was his actual answer. I wish I could do a New York accent. You give them a wood shampoo. I don't know exactly what that means, other than perhaps a baton. You give them a wood shampoo. Oh, he's classic. I love that guy. So anyway, if you're on Facebook, look him up. He's wonderful. All right, what are we doing?
We can go to one last break and then we can close out the show.
I can.
Yes, you can. Yep.
All right. Should I start signing off as I'm moving? Will I have enough time?
I can sign you out now. Just say we'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
Introducing the new California State Penitentiary Bologna Sandwich. Jail food sucks. Don't let your family eat jail food.
At the time you were arrested, you were served with a DS-367 temporary driver's license. It's good for 30 days, but if you don't act within 10 days, at the end of those 30 days, your license will be suspended. It's important for your lawyer to contact the DMV for you. Set up a driver's license administrative hearing so that your license is not going to suspension. That's something here at Bramer Law we do for you.
Your home is perfect. Until it's not. We understand that life has its changes. As your family grows, we're here to help grow with you. Because taking care of your family is important to you and important to us. Your story starts here with Cornerstone Mortgage.
was walking fast. My friend Mike Bigley is out in the green room, waiting to come in to be on the next show.
Denise's show.
Yeah, so that's fantastic. Inga, why don't you have guests more often? Because I'd rather take your calls. But anyway, I did want to tell, and this involves you, Goose, to a degree, I guess.
Uh-oh.
No. I think I mentioned. Did I mention that I started watching the USA miniseries or USA series, Jessica Biel's The Sinner?
No, you didn't.
Have you watched it?
It looks good. I haven't had a chance to see it because I've been watching a lot of other stuff.
I don't recommend I don't tell people to see stuff. In fact, I would recommend against it because it's kind of Twin Peaksy in terms of drug use and sex. The sex, I don't care to watch people other than myself. I don't want to watch myself. I don't want to watch anybody. And so it's that, but it is really good.
Yeah, people have told me it's really good, and I'll probably be checking it out this week for my show because I
binged it.
Yeah, when people start telling me you should check this out, that's when it's time for I start checking it out.
And I don't know if USA showed the same version that Netflix does, because there's some nudity and some words that are used. But I don't highly recommend it. If you like that stuff. Jessica Biel is so beautiful and sweet, and as you follow the story, the way it ends is just fantastic. So I think so, and I guess there's a new season, but Jessica Biel isn't in it. I don't think she's just not just the executive producer. She's the executive producer. So I saw that. Another thing I didn't watch, but I listened to on Netflix the other day, and that was Dave Chappelle's latest Netflix special. Now, I've never really cared one way or the other for the guy. I didn't think his show was funny when he had his TV show. And I think he's a really, really foul-mouthed, racially driven comedian. And if that works for people, that's fine. But I gotta tell you, he was hilarious. I mean, at first I was kind of shocked because he even called his own children the N-word. Yeah, well, you called everybody in the room that, regardless of their race. I mean, but the thing, what I figured out in listening to this is that people can say the wrong thing, or people can say what they mean to say, and it could be racist, it could be...
Sorry.
It could be racist, it could be, go down your list. The thing about Dave Chappelle is, he's hilarious. The guy has timing. He knows how to deliver. And so even though I didn't care for his prolific use of the N-word, and I didn't care for, some of his touching himself jokes that he had in there, they all flow into the point he's ultimately going to make. And I thought that was really good. He bagged on the president, left and right. He said Obama made him rich. He talked about voting for Obama and not voting for Trump, and but he also equally bashed Hillary. And the thing about it was funny. Have you ever watched Dave Chappelle?
Actually, no. I have never watched Dave Chappelle.
Okay.
I mean, only because
nor have I.
Only because he's never been my type of humor.
Yeah. Especially the racial stuff, because I as a white person, I can't represent all white people, but I can tell you as a white person, I hear often said that we don't know the rules because the Dave Chappelle's world can use the N-word left and right, and I don't want to use it. I'm not interested in using it, but the difficulty in trying to figure out how rules apply. Or you've probably heard it said, I'm black or I'm Hispanic, I can't be a racist. No, you ain't married. So anyway, it was good. He ends the show, not ends it, but he does a bit about Emmett Till. And this story I hadn't thought about in a long time. My mother mentioned it to me a couple of weeks ago for some reason. And then I saw in the news that under the Trump administration, the Emmett Till 1965, so it predates us, story happened. Do you know the Emmett Till story?
The name sounds familiar, but I can't place where it is.
He was a 14-year-old Chicago kid, black, went down to Mississippi to visit family. Somebody claimed that he looked at them sexually.
I do remember this.
Yeah, and these two men, Mississippi men, took him out, and before they shot him in the head, they tortured him and tortured him and tortured him. And then to get rid of the body after they shot him in the head, they tied some kind of farm equipment around his neck with a chain and threw him in a river. And he was 14 years old. And the part that Chappelle focuses on, which I think is really, really cool, because I found it cool when I was researching it the other day. His mom, Emmett Till's mom, had an open casket for him. She wanted the world to see. That's a brave woman right there.
Mm-hmm.
That is a brave woman.
The story I hear is that he looked at a white girl.
Right.
And that set a couple guys off.
Yeah, they even admitted to doing it, and they were found not guilty. How does that happen? They admitted to doing it, and they were found not guilty. So, anyway, it's a very compelling story, and the book's been reopened on it, and I can't remember why, but there was a bill passed and signed by Donald Trump that allows for old cases to be reinvestigated. And so I don't know what you do with that information. Everybody involved is dead now. So I don't know what you do with it, but maybe you just right the wrongs of history. I'm not saying you tear down a statue. I'm not saying you go after their family members. I'm just saying,
Well, I remember.
Maybe you can posthumously find these guys guilty.
I remember something John Walsh said, I think about 2 or 3 years ago, when they finally closed the case on his son.
Adam?
Because it had been open, but they knew who did it. And a guy would confess and recant and confess and recant, and then he was a very famous serial killer.
So he kept buying himself time.
Yeah, and he was a very famous serial killer called Otis Toole.
Never heard of him. Yes. What ethnicity was he?
He was white. And
not the guy I'm thinking of.
And Otis Toole basically said some things that only the killer would know, and then he would recant. And it wasn't until years after Toole's death that they basically said, "Yeah, we have the evidence that he did it. We just couldn't charge him, and we're going to close it." A lot of people just want to know that they know who did it and to close the case.
Yeah, I think it's fair for the people left behind. And again, it's one of the reasons why I like Netflix, because they have a lot of shows like that. They're dark, I'm not going to lie, but they're really interesting. So also, what did I commit myself to this weekend in movie watching? Oh, Maleficent. Is that what it's called, Maleficent?
Yes, with Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, what a great movie.
It is actually pretty decent. It's pretty well done.
I thought it was.
It's not the best Disney film ever, but it's really good. It's really good. I liked it.
Yeah.
I know there's some people who have issues with it.
Really?
Well, let's be honest. Angelina Jolie cannot get that accent down right. But that's minor. Yeah. That's a minor thing.
She's no Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah. But I think overall it's a good film. It's very entertaining.
I thought it was a compelling story.
And I like the twist of the villain being the hero and the hero being the villain.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely enjoyed it. So I thought I'd mention that. What are you seeing next?
I have actually been watching, and you're going to be surprised, I've been watching The Deer Hunter.
Oh, great.
I caught it on one of the
AMC.
One of the channels, and I recorded it to watch it later because it's 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been watching it piece by piece. And it's one of those films that takes a while to digest.
I have never seen the entire movie.
And I'm trying to decide whether or not I'm going to keep it recorded to let my kids watch, or if I'm going to be like, no, I'm just going to move on.
Yeah.
but it is. I believe it won the Academy Award for Best Picture. And it's just one of those films that I had on my bucket list. I wanted to get off, and I'm happy that I'm watching it. It's like I said, it's a very heavy film.
Yeah. Who's in that? Jon Voight?
It is Robert De Niro, Christopher Walken,
that's right.
John Savage, and a young Meryl Streep.
Yes, that's right. Have you ever seen? Whenever I think of Christopher Walken, I always think of. I don't think about Natalie Wood. That doesn't come to mind. But I do think about what was the movie? It was the last movie Natalie Wood did. The Zone. It was a kind of a sci-fi-ish.
Not the Twilight Zone.
No. It was it was kind of Inception-like in that. I can't remember the name of the movie. I was in high school, and I remember they had to piece it together because Natalie Wood died. So they had to piece it together in other ways, which has happened in a lot of movies. It was really Dead Zone.
Yes, that's right.
Dead Zone, 1983, 84.
It's her last film, credited. It's called Brainstorm.
Okay, but I think Dead Zone was the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, well, I mean, Christopher Walken was in Dead Zone. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And they were the headliners. Christopher Walken, Natalie Wood, Louise Fletcher. Directed by Douglas Trumbull.
They're really strange.
Well, at that point in time, like Scanners, it was like one of those.
Oh, I love Scanners. Right in the noggin.
You know,
the drill.
That was a time when those movies were super popular.
They were. We'd have all-nighters. In fact, we used to watch stuff, old stuff too, like the Tomatoes Attack or whatever it's called.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Pod people. One of my favorites was the Night of the Living Dead, the original Night of the Living Dead in black and white. And we always got such a kick out of the fact that the gal picks up the phone and it's not working, and she shakes it and then puts it back to her ear and it's still not working, and then she hits the buttons. I get such a kick out of that.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
Yeah, exactly. So those things always made me laugh. Yeah, my friends and I, we used to watch the most ridiculous television, just to or TV. But Scanners, that was a good one. I remember that one. That was good and scary. And that actor, I know him when I see him. But anyway, so that's why I just wanted to mention that Michael Bigley taking pictures of me.
Wave.
Posting them. No, he already posted them. Good grief. I must weigh 400 pounds. So, he caught you in a t-shirt, though. I think that's awesome. All right. Well, that's all I had for you. The Sinner and Dave Chappelle. Again, Dave Chappelle. I mean, I'm in the grocery store with my little these guys, and I'm thinking everybody can hear what's happening. And I was watching The Sinner in the grocery store, and there was a very sex scene-y thing.
Keep going.
And that kind of scared me too. I started looking around. I wasn't watching it; I was listening to it. But I'll tell you, I fought the. Am I still going?
Yeah, you're still going.
Oh, okay. I fought the hands-free thing for years. I was in total rebellion on the hands-free thing. I didn't want to wear headphones. I think it's stupid that you put it on speaker because you're still holding it up to your mouth. You know, all that. I just didn't like it. But I discovered this weekend, since I purchased these, because they're wireless, not only can I walk away from my phone and still hear what's happening on it, which is awesome if I'm watching a show, but if you always have these in your ear, you will never have to worry about responding to a panhandler. No, it's like, well, you got them in your ear. Ma'am, can you spare a couple of some change? And I'm like, what? Yes, mother, I'm right here. I mean, you don't have to. You can pretend you're talking on it. You can pretend you can't hear them, and so I found them to be. I now am a huge fan because I don't have to respond to panhandlers. I never feel like I have to. I don't owe them an explanation for why I'm not giving them a few quarters. But I will buy them water or Gatorade, especially this time of year. And I will take the mission needs blankets and water. I'll do that. But otherwise, I'm like, what? No, what? So there you go. That's all I got. That's all she wrote. Is the camera working?
Camera working.
It's going to be working for Denise?
Yes, it will.
You're going to take out these scruffy chairs, put in the
nice
pretty chairs.
Yeah, nice pretty chairs.
And then Denise is going to do her show.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks, Goose, for getting us through. Sorry about the end of show ramblings, but I ran out of things to yell about. So what can you do? What can you do? All right. Have a great day, kids. I look forward to talking to you tomorrow, 3 o'clock. I will be here again, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Denise is up next.